Well, we've been across the pond and over several borders this season, the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League, but this time it's a relatively close one to home, right across the northern border in Bowmanville, Ontario is Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, perhaps better known as Mosport. This is the next round, round 7 of the championship with our FIA Formula 4 cars, and just 3 rounds remain in the season as Spa-Francorchamps next week and Circuit of the Americas in 2 weeks' time. Kyle Heyer joined by Finian DeCuna tonight for this 7th round of the points-paying season. Just shy of 20 cars going for glory on this classic North American road course. Finian.
I was going to say, really glad to be here to a track that has not changed pretty much at all since it was created many, many years ago. A former track that has hosted the Canadian Grand Prix in Formula 1. It's still the host to a variety of racing series that are very prominent in North America. I'm glad to be back at this track for some fun action here. I took the car around out here earlier for a couple minutes, and I got to say, it is really fun to whip a Formula 4 car around here.
Yeah, Bowmanville, Ontario, population about 40,000 people. This track as configured, built in 1961. Slight change down there to the Moss corner. It's a couple apexes adjusted here and there. 3.9 kilometers is the track distance, 10 corners around this racetrack. This place is an absolute roller coaster, Finian. Lots of fast sweeping corners and tons of elevation change to boot.
A lot of elevation change. That's going to be a big factor for these drivers to deal with, especially heading down into Mosport. You can see the giant dip and then a slight uphill, back down a hill, and then the run, of course, back towards the front part of the track. A lot of undulations, a lot of fast-flowing corners. That's going to be a big thing for these cars. Not a lot of dirty that these guys got to deal with, but also not a lot of downforce as well that they're going to be relying on.
Yeah, so we got just shy of 20 cars. The start is always a wild one here with that fast turn 1. But your best passing opportunity might be into the venerable turn 8, but even that is a very, very fast corner at the grip limit. Turns 9 and 10, though, that's where the surprise dive bombs always come. In a tin top car, you can use that left front fender to knock somebody out of the way, but not so tonight. That's going to be a challenging turn. The other thing to consider, a lot of these corners have big, tall curbs. Fair game in a big tube frame stock car, but not so much in these little Formula racers.
Yeah, so there's the overlook of Mosport here, heading down to qualifying, which has just started and become underway. A couple drivers setting some times at the top of the board at the moment. Jake King, and usually as we say that, there's usually a fast DJ Alcentrini ready to put a time in down.
Oh, there is, and he is on track, and he was telling everybody in the server a couple minutes ago how his lap time was so patriotic, ran a 1:17.776, which was almost 17:76. Nice try there. But down into turn 1, he will begin his first qualifying lap as the rest of the field continues to circulate. Jake King is currently at the top of the order. Luke Cantor in second place in that Renault livery that he's got on board the car. 75-degree air temp, 113-degree track temp. That's pretty toasty here, Finian, but we haven't seen these cars overheat their tires a ton. They're just not heavy enough to put that much energy into the ground.
Yeah, that's a big thing that the guys have to deal with. The first 2 laps out here are going to be sketchy. We typically see this car has been a little bit free on the back end, and a lot of drivers struggling with that oversteer. So the first couple laps, going to be tough to deal with. Once you get some heating of the tires, so that's when you're really going to start to be able to get some really quick lap times down and some stable lap times down. As Cantor comes out of the final corner, across the line for him, he will be completing his qualifying run with a 2:55. Yes. Oh, no, never mind. Sorry, correct there. 1:17.9 and up to provisional pole.
And how long will that last, though? Alessandrini's on a quick lap. Mike Leader is out there putting another lap on the board. Lewis Alessi up to 6th place. Nice effort there. Darian Taggart jumps to 14th, and here comes Alessandrini through turn 8, through turn 9, and into turn 10. This is a pretty crucial corner, whether you're side-by-side or single file, as the Lizard Brain 61 heads up onto the front straightaway. 112 miles an hour average is going to be fast enough for pole, and yes, this one will be right to the top by a 1/10.5.
Audible gasp.
Yes.
Alcindrini up to provisional pole position. See if anyone's got anything left. Cantor and King, they both finished qualifying, it seems. Next driver will be Andrew Pilato, though he's just finished up his time, so he is all set in the 96.
Comes Mike Leader. He's the last driver of the 17 who has not yet put a time on the board, and he's accelerating up long back straightaway here. There's a couple turns 6 and 7 that I wouldn't really consider much of a corner, and you're going to be flat to the floor and basically just pointing the car between the guardrails all the way up to turn 8, which very much is a corner, as Mike Leader heads down the backstretch at north of 135 miles an hour. But not much faster than that. 137 off into turn 8. mostly limited by the drag and the low power that these cars have. He nibbles the curb on the right, and we'll see what the 53's got for his fourth and final lap here in qualifying.
Sliding out of the final corner. I think if the first lap, part of the lap is clean, it should be good enough to count, and it will count up to 12th for Mike Leader on his final lap.
That's all he's got. See if Alessandrini's going to go quicker the second time around, and he will not. 1:17.934. That still would have been pole by 5 thousandths, even if he did not have the lap prior, but he'll probably go for another lap or two. And the key to his success this season has sort of been qualified after everybody else. He was one of the last drivers to put a time on, and he's consistently one of the fastest. Would he be the fastest anyway? Maybe, but having the track temperature drop as the afternoon gets a little later, that hasn't hurt him at all.
No, it definitely hasn't. Although we got clear skies, no wind or really anything to speak of. Shouldn't say clear skies, partly cloudy, but no big tracks. No big clouds moving over the racetrack at the moment. Oh, and DJ, there's that back end snapping around.
Franz Hansen.
Talking about us. That's a look at Franz Hansen.
The fifth. That was a decent lap there. 1:18.163.
So there's one more lap left to go. See if he can improve on that, although at the moment not the fastest of his laps, a little bit down on his previous.
Whoa, he's
very
out.
Close.
Whoa.
Yeah, that's definitely not going to help that lap.
He's on. This is his final lap here, and Alessandrini is going to be entering his final lap next time by with 4 minutes left on the board, so plenty of time to execute at whatever pace he'd like to go, and he'll give it one more try.
George Browning wins at this point.
Yeah.
How much time can he get over second place?
This is a very hard racetrack to escape the draft, though. The first half of the racetrack you're kind of following without much overtaking opportunity. The second half of the lap, that back straightaway is very, very long, so he's going to need to really get out of Dodge quick on the opening lap if he wants to keep Luke Cantor and Jay King behind him. Big counter steer through the center of turn 3 and then down turn 4. This is such a fun turn, flat to the floor. You keep your throttle pinned to the ground all the way until you start the uphill process, and then on the binders go down a couple of gears and get throttled up for the backstretch.
Yeah, it's really tough to. What DJ did the lap prior is he went in, clipped it in a little bit too much. It's too easy to throw the car a little bit too deep in the Mosport, now break yourself, and then again the back end comes around. So that's one thing drivers got to watch out for, especially on those opening laps. Let the heat generate in the tires, you get that better grip under braking. Just down the back straight, and this is where again we're going to expect most of the passes are going to occur. Dog fighting down here into the right-hander. Back to the left and then right again to complete the lap for DJ. I think he might just usurp his previous lap. He's close. Whoa, a little bit off track.
112.4, 112.1, so not faster, but he will stay on pole regardless. As everybody else has retired back to the pit lane, and your qualifying results here, Finian, on screen as we await the start of this 7th round of the points-paying season.
Yeah, waiting to see them get underway again, but pretty close up near the front. In fact, a tie almost between Jake King and Andrew Pilot. I didn't realize how close they were on the timing sheet. So according to our timing, separated by 1,000th of a second.
Yeah, very close between those two. Nick Brunei in the 17 down in 10th place, about 8 tenths back from the rest of the front runners. And here's a look at the rest of the field. Everybody within a second and a half for the start of this one, and I think you can find 6 or 7 tenths in draft alone around this racetrack, so that will tighten up the field in a pretty significant way in a moment's time. Thanks for watching the DC Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. If you'd like to find out how to join this for the tail end of this season or the future of next, go to the Washington DC Region SCCA website and go to the region page and check out their esports section to learn how to join. You have to be an SCCA member to participate, but if you are, you just make sure you send the member number in the application and your league access will be granted. And typically the summer months, this kind of calms down, but we reignite this typically September, October time, and head all the way through the winter months. So Washington, D.C. Region SCCA region website's got more information. 2 races left after this, Finian. Spa-Francorchamps and Circuit of the Americas, 2 FAA Grade 1s, huge racetracks, one in Belgium and one in the great US of A, but very different in their own right.
Yeah, very different. Spa, very much a more traditional track course. It's existed in its current configuration since, I believe, the 70s when it was reconfigured to the modern layout. Of course, a couple of changes have happened in the decades since then. But very much an old school circuit. COTA, a much more modern circuit. Very much not typically American, but it's definitely established itself as a fixture in the American motorsports calendar. So a great track to go to. Be very interesting to go to in these cars. Heavy braking zones that typically leads to some overtaking, especially down the long straightaways over there.
Yeah, and of course, Circuit of the Americas, it becomes a fun exercise in threading the needle with those nasty curbs in the S's. You'll have to make sure your car placement is on point. It helps that the cars are light and darty. Had a conversation with Greg Kramer about that place last night, that typically, the best racing cars at COTA are the lightest ones because big, heavy cars get kind of unruly when you're trying to chase them through that fast S's section. And then, of course, there's that the stadium section modeled after the Hockenheim Ring. What a fun area of the racetrack that is. It sucks to drive, but the racing it puts on is incredible. I was just there a couple of days ago for Super Lap Battle and GLTC, and always love going there. It has become one of my favorite racetracks, especially because we get to do a Formula One style standing start. It is just a blast. Even on a Sunday morning after a time change, when everyone's kind of weary-eyed, it's a fun time. So that's what's coming up the next 2 weeks to finish out this season. Alessandrini has just absolutely pummeled everybody in these open wheel cars. So a championship is effectively already locked up. But, man, we'll see what the next season holds, Finian, because this open wheel season has given us some great battles, but it also, as we saw at Road America, has led to some dramas and some controversies mid-pack and forward.
Yeah, it still be very chaotic when it wants to be for these drivers. We'll see how tonight will roll out here as they're getting ready to grid for tonight's event.
Yeah, and the field will line up on the back straightaway, so we'll have a short pace lap. And so in a moment's time, we'll go over the starting lineup. There's 17 drivers kicking things off for the start here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Track temps down a couple of degrees, Fitting. That's going to help these things grip up for the launch on the green flag.
Yeah, I think those drivers are going to be looking for just a little bit of a better chance for them to get some more grip, especially on the crucial opening laps of the race, where you can lose a lot of positions, you can also gain a lot of positions. It just depends on how you perform.
Well, let's have a look at the starting lineup for this one, and it'll kick things off with the front row. It's DJ Alessandrini in the number 61, going for another victory. Luke Cantor rolls off second in the number 4.
Moving back to row number 2 is going to be Jake King in the number 39. In third, next to Mitch Pilata in the 96 in fourth.
We haven't seen Jake King here in a little while, and I think he could be a threat in these open wheel cars. He seems quite familiar. I think all the way back to the SCCA's national esports championships during the pandemic. He was always a threat. Back then, I think it was in the F3 car. Franz Hansen starts 5th in the number 44. Jack Chrissy rolls off 6th in the number 6 car.
Back at 7th is going to be Ryan Carwell in the 71. Next to him, Louis Alessi in the 43 in 8th place.
9th place, Peter Lausen in the number 15, and Nick Brunei starts 10th in the number 17 car.
Richard Sawicki is going to be lined up in the 528 in 11. Next to Mike Leader in the 53 and 12th.
In 13th place, it's going to be Adam Kovac in the number 85, and Francois Bruce starts 14th in the 69 car.
Going back to 15th, going to be Robert Brunner in the 98 car next to Albert No in the 181 in 16th.
And bring up the rear of the field, I don't think made the grid, Darian Taggart in the number 12. So
he's there.
Oh, he is there. All right, not showing up on my timing screen, interestingly enough. And we're off and rolling for a very short pace lap. Get some heat in those tires. Already drivers weaving and wobbling. And shaking off the nerves, I suppose, here, fitting for the start at this very fast and opportunistic racetrack.
You're going to see DJ bobbing and weaving and everyone else in behind also bobbing and weaving to get the tires warmed up. They're going to have a lot of chance to get them warmed up here to get ready to go for 30 minutes.
30-minute race. It's about 24 laps. We're going to put down a lot of laps in this event. But here we go. Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Round 7 is underway. Green flag here at Mosport. First corner is pretty clean. Alessandrini jumps ahead fairly quickly. Luke Cantor second, then Jake King, Franz Hansen, and Pilata stay your top 5.
Everyone notably getting single file almost immediately out of the first corner, just trying to get in line, get in a rhythm. And now as they're starting to get up to temperature here with the action, Jack Chrissy riding aboard with him. see Andrew Pilata all over the back wing of Franz Hansen into Moss corner for the very first time.
The Moss corner, everyone's still getting tire temperatures set here onto this long back straightaway. I don't think anyone will take the opportunity to make a pass. Darian Taggart did go back to the pit lane, so a start but an ending almost as quickly. Up the straightaway now, and Alessandrini's gap is 4/10, but closing with that strong slipstream in the long straightaway.
Yeah, it's going to be the tough thing for him to try to break. Lee mentioned it's going to be the biggest thing hurting him here is that a lot of the guys in behind have a chance to ride in behind him and get a run on him. Not this time, though, as Luke Cantor and Jay King nose to tail in behind. Pilata now past Franz Hansen, and now has to deal with him on his rear wing.
Right out using every inch of the road. Got to keep within about a 9/10 of a second to the car ahead of you if you want to continue to slipstream there. And Alessandrini wasn't able to break it the draft last time around, but we'll see if he can do it on lap number 2.
Jack Chrissy making a move on the outside of Franz Hansen out of turn 1. Can't quite get established alongside enough to make a move in the next corner, so he's pulled back in behind in 6th.
Yeah, Hansen had a pretty late qualifying effort that pushed him up to 5th. I'm not sure that he's got the outright raw pace to sustain this spot, so we'll see. But for now, Hansen is on defense here from Jack Chrissy.
And they go to the braking zone into Moss corner. Looks from the outside, see Hansen taking the defensive line up to the inside. Now it's all about getting a run out of Moss corner down the straightaway. It's key to get a good run back
spin.
on the throttle.
Albert No goes for a loop on throttle too quick.
Lazy spin for him, and again, his back end slipping around, trying to push it a little bit too hard.
Leaders are just about a 10th apart. Here comes Luke Cantor to the outside. I don't know that there's much of a pass opportunity just yet, but Jake King is right there as well. I'm going to keep my eye on the King boy today because, again, as I've said, his experience in iRacing pretty extensive in the open wheelers, and he's off in the dirt there in the dirty air of Cantor and Alessandrini, but watch out for this 39 car.
Now watch out for Luke Cantor making a dive up the inside into turn 1. His car is kind of there. He's got just about a wing, not enough. Doesn't get the run off the corner that he needs. Goes back to the inside in turn 2. DJ slams the door shut.
Yeah, that was a pretty dicey move there. DJ just trusted that Cantor wouldn't jam the front wing down the inside, and he didn't. Jack Chrissy goes up Franz Hansen's posterior there down at turn 3, and then that battle with those front threes dragged Pilata back into the mix as Carwile and Alessi trade spots for 7th.
Yeah, let's see a great run out of turn 3, down to turn 4, now turn 5A. Throws up the inside Alessi on through past Carwile.
Big lunge there mid-turn for Alessi. Going to cost him on exit there. I think he was a little too aggressive, but Carwile didn't get a great run, so he'll have to stay put for now as Pilata might have a run on Jake King.
Never run on Jake King, but King's going to be trying to use the slipstream off of Cantor to try to use it to defend his position. And here comes Cantor looking to the outside. And around he will try to go. Can't quite get anything on DJ.
Story as old as time here at Mosport. Get to the outside at 8, and then what? Crash behind him. Carwile's in it, and Nick Bruni in the 17.
Yeah, heavy hit for, I believe, the 17. I think saw him go into the tie barriers.
That car is damaged beyond repair. And it was Carwile that spun first, and then Bruni had
actually made some contact with Alessi into turn 8. Oh.
Got to get another look at that from above, perhaps, and see how aggressive this was. Doors open. He's to the inside. He's enough. Didn't really have a lot of room on entry there, did he? And then kind of got squeezed, and contact there for Bruni. Just a victim is that 17.
Fortunate for him, he got the short end of the stick. He was already battling alongside with the 15 Alausen when that incident occurred. So, but both him and Carwile are out of the pits now, getting repairs to their car as we look back at the battle for second place. Jake King, Cantor, they're both off of the rear wing of Alessandrini, looking like leader.
He spun at Moss corner, back for second place though. King right behind Cantor here. That outside pass though at turn 8, if you can hold overlap into 9, you can often complete the pass, but if you can't hold it on driver's left, then it's a short-term gain, long-term loss to look to the outside. So they're going to have to figure something else out, and DJ's holding a pretty wheel up front for the time being. Front 4 have separated away, and Jack Chrissy's running a bit off pace from that time through he was pretty much even with the front 4, but on every other lap he's been a couple tenths a lap slower.
Yeah, and I think the issue is that these cars just don't have enough downforce to keep that outside going in turn 8. I think it would need a little bit more to work with. Of course, Cantor's going to try to push the limit and find if there is enough downforce out there to make a move. I think that might be the only way you can get past DJ on this lap. Looking at Andrew Pilata and behind Jay King, he's trying to pull out to the right side as they head down into turn 4. Peel back and behind in the braking zone.
I thought he started 5th, but he actually started 4th, lost the spot, and then regained it back. So he's right where he qualified now, the outside of row 2. But passing seems to be pretty challenging. There's enough draft to get to somebody, but not to get through somebody. You get to some of the heavier GT3 cars and things like that fitting. It seems almost inevitable that she'll go into turn 8 side by side. It's just what happens when you get there. These drivers back here slice it and dice, and Lowson, Alessi, and Richard Sawicki. 3 wide.
Yeah, they're going 3 wide as Sawicki tries to thread the knee. Will get through past Alessi, and then now going to try to go around Lowson in the 15. They're going to go side by side in turn 8, and Lowson going to have to give some room for Sawicki to throw it down to the inside of turn 9. Whoa, he gets loose trying to make the car rotate more than it can. Saves it and will drop back to 8th place.
Yeah, he almost had him cleared going into 9. That's that critical maneuver I talked about earlier. You have overlap into 9, you're generally good to complete the pass, but he left a bit too much space and ended up washing out and sliding the car around. Here comes Pilata on King, the outside of turn 3, another very flat corner. It's hard to get purchase out there. And here he comes. Whoa, second place car's off. Cantor off in the weeds.
And you come back on, drop back to 4th. Pilata and King side by side. Pilata not trying not to give up that room in turn 5, but has to back out.
I think there's some.
Take second.
I think there's some utility in backing out as well. See if Jake King can keep DJ in touch with Cantor kind of out of the picture. They've lost 3 or 4 tenths of a second. Those are critical tenths of a second that they're going to need. Here's Cantor again, washing out wide at a turn 3. Here's what happened: just caught the dirt and hit the end of the curb and went for a ride.
Yeah, caught the dirt as he hit the dirty air, which is kind of surprising. As we look back at the live shot, King and Pilata side by side in turn 8. There they go on through. Pilata trying to keep the purchase into turn 9. King trying to make that car wheel around and back at him, swing around in turn 9, and almost contact there in turn 10.
Yeah, they're giving up a lot of ground here. Now they're out of draft distance. Here comes Luke Cantor. Are they already conceding this one to DJ? 3 wide into turn 1. Contact there, front wing to rear from Pilata on Jake King, or excuse me, Pilata on King, and Pilata goes for a ride.
Yeah, I'm amazed Pilata didn't make contact with the left rear of Jay King. Almost touched his wheel. That was very close contact. Yeah, like you mentioned, they just gave up a huge amount of time. 2 seconds now, the gap to them and DJ.
Yeah, I think that's effectively residing them to this battle for second, and Chrissy is in the fight now. All the while, we just did see on the timing that Louis Alessi had an issue last lap around, as this battle is now for third as King pulls away.
Cutthroat battle. I mean, it's a great battle, but it's frustrating, I imagine, for all of them, because DJ's just driving off into the distance while they're at each other's necks here for second place.
I mean, lights out. I mean, it took DJ a half a lap to put that much distance on him. There he is, and there's Jake King, and especially with Pilata and Cantor behind him now, he's going to have a really hard time getting them to cooperate to run DJ down, even if they had pace to do it. I don't know that they do. It's Cantor and
I don't think they do
Jack
have
Chrissy.
Enough pace to push as they're side by side. Cantor on the inside, Chris trying to attack on the outside, gets squeezed out in the final corner.
Chrissy will appreciate the opportunity to grab potentially a podium here, but even these two, all the drama is formulating behind this 4 car. He's done nothing wrong or nothing different, but it just seems to be the nucleus for a lot of the excitement in this race so far.
Yeah, the big mistake to put him back, and kind of kicked everything off and just ran wide here into turn 3.
Nucleus is a good word.
Set off the sparks for this battle.
It's a good word, nucleus. Got to remember that.
Write down for later.
I was in the line at O'Hare thinking about the term 5-alarm fire as we got Sawicki under fire from Peter Lowson, and I said, man, you know how you say people get hosed? You got hosed harder than a 5-alarm fire.
I guess that works.
Thought I'd write that one down, right? You're a fireman.
Yeah, I was going to say, I guess that could work.
Or hotter than a 5-alarm fire?
Do you know what a 5-alarm fire is?
Nope. You want to tell me?
Basically, long story short, here's this extreme battle down the back straightaway. Sawicki allows him to go back in. Runner? Actually, I have Runner's back in this after his contact earlier in the race. Oh, sorry, no, that was Nick Brunei that went down in the race earlier. Never mind that. Could actually wait till this battle finishes out. I'll continue my train of thought.
Well, I'll tell you what I think it is.
Go ahead, whoa.
An alarm is an individual fire station. So 5 alarms
typically
is 5 stations.
Basically, the more alarms are, the more it scales up. So it's different for volunteer fire departments where it's a different town versus in one big city. But basically, the more alarms there are, the more units get called.
Yeah, I was kind of right.
Yeah. So 5-alarm fire is a bad fire.
Yeah.
Well, a lot of people.
Yeah. So hotter than a 5-alarm fire, and he got hosed harder than a 5-alarm fire. So I think I like both of those. So Jake King has kept DJ honest. Only lost a 10th last time around, but it's still 2.5 seconds up to the lead. This is the exciting battle at the moment. Richard Sawicki has got it, and Lauzon and Kobach won it.
These guys aren't fighting for the lead, so they're just willing to battle it amongst themselves. They know it's probably going to be as good as it gets potentially, unless something dramatic happens up the order. Lauzon all the back of Sawicki. Sawicki pulls out to the right-hand side and gets a big run down into turn 8.
I'm gonna be honest, I thought we'd see more slingshots in a more intense draft at this particular track. It doesn't really seem to be as effective as I was anticipating.
Well, I think it's because this car just does not punch a big enough hole through the air.
Yeah, but even at other tracks we'd seen the draft not be overdogged by any stretch, but it seemed almost more effective. I think the other thing that doesn't help is that back straightaway's all uphill, and you don't have a lot of power in these cars.
I think it's definitely part of the equation there. See, we're a little bit wide off, trying to capture the back of Lauzon's battle for 7th.
You see Sawicki right there? Watch this. Going off into turn 2. Watch the 528. He's going to go off to the right. Watch that grass strip. And watch the 528 turn in. Let's see, get a closer shot right there.
Oh, yeah.
Big counter steer to the right.
That's a hard stop right there. As a driver, sometimes it doesn't look that dramatic, but feels more dramatic, and this is a dramatic battle for second place brewing now as all 4 drivers have converged back together again.
Yeah, they've lost DJ unless they're about to pull some Talladega nonsense and start bump drafting. I don't think it's about to run DJ down. So here comes Andrew Pilata up alongside Jake King, and that should open the door for Cantor as well, with these guys slowing each other down. But Cantor's got Chrissy up his tailpipes.
And Pilata's going to be looking around Jake King, trying to pinch that 39 to the inside in turn 8. Going to have the better run in turn 9. Slams the door shut, parks the apex, and go on through the second.
Reshuffle the deck for second place again. And then back to 7th place, Lauzon, Kobach, Sawicki, and Brunner.
Side by side to turn 1, off they go. Sawicki to the inside, Kobach trying to work around the outside, gets a decent run towards turn 2, and will get on through. Brunner trying to throw it up the inside in turn 3. He actually, sorry, now into turn 2, trying to throw it in. Gets back out.
Maybe try to go up the long ways at 3, or maybe cross over Sawicki on exit, but Sawicki drove in there hard. He was able to keep it down there. He will maintain position for now. Second place is still a hornet's nest. 4 drivers all wanting part of the podium. And only 2 of them in this group are going to get that.
Well, 2 of them are going to get the chance to talk to us, so very important battle.
Yes, very ultra important.
Taking the slipstream on Pilata, rolls reverse this lap, and actually came backing off, surprisingly.
Yeah, maybe picking his battle a bit later in the race. I don't know, I mean, if he feels like he can stay with Andrew, then by all means. I think what I'd be worried about is losing more spots, because then you're not really in an advantageous position. If you're battling for 2nd, you want to be 3rd. Battling for 3rd, you want to be 4th, and so on and so forth. But you can't be 2nd unless you're 3rd first. So if you get cars ahead of you, got work to do.
Yeah, so we still got over half, just about over half the race left. Just ticking down to 15 minutes left to go. So we've got quite a bit of racing left to go. These drivers potentially have the chance of swapping 4th a couple more times, and potentially wrecking too, if things get too long.
Well, that would never happen with front runners in one of these races, would it? Oh no, we saw 1st and 2nd. Yeah, bouncing tires off each other back at the National Park of Speed, and we sent some virtual Pirellis into the weeds there, didn't we? So
Road America was a very expensive weekend. A lot of wrecked race cars.
A lot of tubs to be replaced after that one, that's for sure. Jack Chrissy rides in 5th. behind Cantor, King, and Pilata. They're 3.2 back from Alessandrini. I guess I've seen crazier things happen than Alessandrini getting run down from 3 seconds ahead, but I'm not going to bet my life on it or my lunch.
Yeah, I was going to say, definitely miss out on lunch there in that case. Adam Kovac working on the outside of Peter Lausen.
Side by side through 9. This is a pretty tricky spot here, and Robert Brunner's going to wait for an opportunity here on the front stretch, and he's going to have a run, and he'll take it to the inside of Kovac.
Yeah, Kovac messed up in turn 9. He actually backs up Brunner. I think he didn't feel confident in the move in turn 1. But Kovac, he ran up on the apex in turn 9 that killed his run the rest of the corners. So back to 8th he goes.
Nice patience by Brunner there. He had overlap. Could have used it, but
Kovac messed up turn 2. Here comes Brunner looking to the outside in turn 3.
Now he's going to have to use his overlap because they're losing ground to Lausen.
Tries to look alongside, not quite there by turn 4.
Ooh, slide from Kovac as he jumped on the curbing, and managed to hang on to the spot, and he's on the gravel now. That's not going to work, and Brunner will go through.
And Lausen also completely messed up the corner, so Brunner's chance of not getting just 1 spot, but 2 spots down the straightaway here.
Who's going to win this fight? None of them. They're all dead heat now down the backstretch. Brunner squeezes through, and now Lausen and Kovac side pod to side pod.
Lausen trying to get the slipstream, maybe to have a lunge back at Brunner, but Brunner's going to win out. He's going to lead this little pack as Kovac and Lausen are left to fight for 8th.
This is getting pretty fun. Richard Sawicki watching from 10th, and he would like to go by. Sees the door open on Kovac, and foot to the floor. He'll pull alongside.
He's going to be joining this battle here, and we actually have a new competitor in the fray. Mike Leader has joined this battle in 11th place.
Started this race in 12th. Gained a few spots, then lost a few when he spun in 5, a couple laps in, and door open on Sawicki, and yes, please, I'll drive right down the inside.
Trent not quite done with it yet through turn 3. Sawicki going to try to see if he can clear Leader before they get out of the exit. Not quite clear of the 53 car.
Turn 3 is a very easy spot as Sawicki goes for a slide. 3 is a very easy spot to run a little wide and drop a tire in the grass and end up off in the weeds, just like Brunner just did.
Oh, and around he went. Come back out just ahead of Francois Brou.
Here's what happened to Brunner. Drives off in here, a little too hot, rear steps out, and around he went. And up for 2nd place. At the moment, Jay King and Pilata just traded spots, moved to 39. Or maybe Pilata had a nose ahead for a moment. They're going to tuck back in 2nd, 3rd, 4th. King, Pilata, Cantor.
King, you had to have Pilata, and then Cantor and Chrissy, your top 5. Let's roll the man in the lead.
Yes.
And they've been slowly extending it now. 3.6 seconds, the gap between 1st and 2nd.
Replace that. He used to have a Red Bull livery, and that would be a pretty fitting livery to have on the car right now for DJ, wouldn't it?
It would be really very fitting for him. Effectively the Max Verstappen of the series.
Saw a comparison today of the as Kovac has gone around for a spin.
In turn 2.
Or if it was all on his own, maybe just grab some grass. No, goes in and it's on the inside. Jumped the curb there and went for a slide.
He's been getting a little bit too aggressive with the curbing, I've noticed, and it's only been hurting him. And bit him there quite a bit. Now back to 12th.
Yeah, as the battle here is for 4th between Cantor and Chrissy. Saw a comparison today between Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen's dominance in the modern era. And Lewis is most dominant. He won 64% of the races, and that was deemed as bad as it was going to get in the modern era. Well, we have not seen that be the case the last couple of seasons, have we?
No, I was going to say he's just too good of a combination, right? Because really with Lewis, he still had Nico Rosberg fighting him. Speaking of a fight, some dog fighting here between some drivers, Pilata and Chrissy. Sorry, Pilata and King, Chrissy and Cantor are behind, and they're also getting feisty for 4th place. But yeah, no, that's not too surprising because Lewis had Nico Rosberg nipping at his toes, trying to fight him for a championship. Even Valtteri Bottas put up a little more fight. I got to say, I like Sergio Perez, but he's no Max Verstappen.
Yeah. And Alessandrini has just put now 4 seconds on. But remember that 2 of these seconds were because the drivers battling for 2nd let it happen. And that's something that you just cannot do. Leave an inch, he'll take a mile.
Poor run for Jake King out of Mosport. Is a perfect chance for Pilata to make a move if he chooses so, and he will try to. Alongside he'll go. I will say, I think one thing might benefit these drivers from maybe giving a little bit of a gap onto the straightaway, getting more of a slipstream, because you kind of just enter out into the open air and you kind of stall out on this attempt. King will actually back out willingly.
You have to coordinate a little bit. I don't think you can run through there side by side without really risking your chassis. A little smoke cloud there in the final corner. Drivers retired from this race: Nick Brunei, Albert No, Ryan Carwile, and Darian Taggart. The other 13 are still running on the racetrack, and Nick Brunei was the one that just hit pit lane.
I think that might have been him that saw that smoke cloud from.
Nice investigative reporting there.
Hey, I mean, okay.
Deductive reasoning.
You really want
process
me to
of elimination.
And lazy spin for the 17. Final one. For those that are interested.
Down to several story drop into Moss Corner. This effectively is the battle for the lead. Little bit of a shakeup down there as King wobbles, and Matt Chrissy looked to take advantage of it.
Traffic out of Moss Corner there. big stack up.
And Chrissy's going to have a run, and he's going to go driver's left, I think.
He's going to have to. I don't think he's going to get the choice. King's going to make him go around the outside.
Plus, we haven't seen someone try the grass yet.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to work particularly well.
Ask Dale Earnhardt about that.
Well, I mean, I don't think Dale Earnhardt made a move around Mosport.
Nor in a Formula car. Could you imagine?
That would be really interesting to see.
In some alternate universe where Dale Earnhardt changes to Formula One in the year 2000 or something.
So the Formula One or IndyCar? I feel like IndyCar is the more realistic version of that. Yeah, imagine if, more realistically speaking, Jeff Gordon, if he decided to stick with open wheel, never came over to stock car racing.
It's a very different sport. No Rainbow Warrior. 7 laps to go, and the battle has been hotly contested for second, effectively since lap 2. And Alessandrini is well clear of the field. He was a little slower that time around, but I think he can kind of manage this gap at his own pace here. And passing has been particularly challenging here. I somehow don't think that that's going to be much of a problem at Circuit of the Americas or Spa. There's just a lot more moments where you're on the brakes, slowing all the way down to nothing, and a lot longer straightaways at both of those places. Side by side here into turn 8. King on the outside and Pilata on the inside. That switches for turn 9. Battle's still on.
Yeah, that's really where you want to make these moves, those heavy braking zones. And that's why these tracks are great for this type of racing. So Pilata go all 4-wheel off onto the track, trying to keep up the speed with King and defend from Jack Chrissy behind. Runner Francois Brou changing positions down the order. Whoa! Looks a runner wipe out.
5 laps to go now. And Jake King building a bit of a gap here on Pilata, 0.4 of a second.
That might come back to hurt him here, depending on the run that Pilata gets down the straightaway.
We haven't
out of Moss Corner.
We haven't really seen runs that are that enormous, though. I mean, that was kind of the point I was talking about a little while ago, is that in the GT3 it'd be a sitting duck at that differential, but it doesn't seem like the runs are huge enough. Let's see what Pilata can do. 2.5 tenths now up the backstretch.
Might maybe a little bit too far out. I have to see here as they come towards the end of the straightaway. Now he backs out of it.
Yeah, I don't think you can build enough of a run. And actually, I don't even think Jake King felt the pressure because he left the inside open. Lauser and, the tongue twister. Lausen and Leader. I was going to say Leeser and Louder.
That 2 times fast.
That is a new band in the Chicago area. Leeser and Louder. And Sawicki on turn 9, opportunistic dive up there.
Whoa.
And that's not going to work for very long, and we'll save it for the exit of the corner, have another run at Lausen.
Trying to get a run back at him. Can't quite get there. Lausen still going to defend that position. Well done for Mike Leader getting up there and getting through a lot of those drivers back up to 7th.
I just had a heart attack that I didn't start the stream. I don't know why.
Oh, that would have been.
But I did. I get so nonchalant sometimes that I like don't really think about it. I don't intentionally note the moment that I hit live. And as leader goes for a little bit of a ride. And that would just be a really embarrassing moment. So glad I didn't do that.
I'm amazed I haven't done that yet. I feel that's something I would do.
I've done that a couple of times where I didn't have the feed going. Oh, slide. Lausen goes for a wiggle. And gathers it up. And King and Pilata all the way up into turn 8. They are side by side again.
Yeah, I think we're going to start getting a lot more feisty for this spot now as the laps are winding down. The gap way too far ahead for details, 4.5 seconds. Definitely not going to make that up at this point. So all amongst themselves here as they come across the line. 4 laps to go.
Just 3 minutes and 40 seconds left on the clock. And so it's go time now if they weren't going already. They've been kind of going since lap 2, and that's why they're only racing for second place.
Yeah, a little bit too much. I think if they calmed it down a little bit, came in an orderly line, could have kept DJ at tow, but DJ had a perfect opportunity to break away from the pack, and he drove away. Never looking back as Cantor now trying to make a move on Chrissy side by side for them through turn 3 and 4.
I think he'd like to get on the podium just because he started up in second place, and since he's dropped to 5th, he hasn't been able to wrestle any of these positions back, and maybe waiting for an opportunity. Could there be some dramas and some car-to-car contact on that last lap as Mike Leader gives up a spot to Sawicki? They tuck back in line and would jump back to second place fight here. Pilata opens the door to the inside on King. King doesn't defend.
Yeah, I guess maybe he wants to be more towards the back, maybe in 3rd place, waiting to make that move. Talking about, the person being open on the final lap or so as King runs out wide, still actually fighting for the spot, not letting Pilata fight it on through. Chrissy now at the dive into turn 10.
That was really opportunistic there by Jack Chrissy, and it's going to kill his momentum. Here comes Cantor to the inside, 3 wide into turn 1.
They're not backing out of it. That's allowing Pilata to now drive away as they're still 3 wide.
That was unbelievable that they got through there without touching. Pilata to 2nd, King to 3rd. Chrissy and Cantor going to cross over. Chrissy's way out wide in turn 2, and now it's a battle for the best of the rest.
I think for Pilata, that's sayonara to everyone else in behind. He's trying to drive off away and not look back. Gap just about within recoverable range here. Jay King can get a really good run through the next few corners.
Heard that thing bottom out on the run down to Moss Corner. All about when you can put that throttle to the floor. These cars don't have enough power to have to modulate much of anything as you leave the turn. Throttle down and get out of town.
King did not get a good run out of the corner. He's trying to catch back up to Pilata. Jack Chrissy now making a move to the outside. It's not what King needs, and he wants to have a chance. They're coming back to second place.
Whoa. And this is a good battle here, and it's all going to be for 3rd only because Pilata's far enough away that he might be able to escape the draft distance here.
Oh, and across the line for DJ, almost white flag. Gonna have, I think, another lap to go. Could be getting white flag next time by just about a second.
I see a white flag here.
Oh.
So this will be our final lap. But it was so close that I don't even think iRacing's timing knew what to do. Peter Lausen spins. He was in a battle there with Mike Leader, and I think that was Richard Sawicki that he was alongside, and he just runs out and into the marbles on his own and goes for a spin.
Yeah, Leader actually was overtaken. I think he made a mistake earlier in the lap.
Chrissy out wide, he made a mistake and drops down the order. So the battle that was brewing is now down to just 2 for the last spot. Jake King and Luke Cantor, and he's got only 1 straightaway left to go here. This will be coming back to the checkers this time.
Very, very similar to Daytona, right? The timing and scoring.
Yeah.
We were coming to the white flag without checking flag this time by. I wonder if these drivers know it or not.
13 seconds
right
left.
For that matter.
Here comes DJ. It's going to be pretty tight, isn't it? And yep, here's
the white flag.
Here's the checker now. And DJ Alessandrini will win at Mosport. No contest. He'll snag this one up round 7. Pilata for 2nd, and for 3rd, King and Cantor to the stripe. King grabs it on the podium for the number 39. Then it's Cantor behind. Lausen and Brunner, they're side by side. And the last couple of corners for these two for 9th.
Trying to work around the outside. Now going to switch back to the inside. Brunner trying to see if he can get on through. Lausen not going to give it up. Last second dive into turn 10.
And side by side to the stripe. Brunner on the throttle up, but Lausen wins the battle for 9th. And he comes home P9 over Brunner by 31 thousandths of a second. How about that? Wow.
Solid run of the line. Great battles there towards the end.
And checkered flag on round number 7 of the season. And boy, we were treated to some exciting fights there, but nobody had the pace to run down DJ Alessandrini. Here's a look at your race results. And DJ by 5.7 seconds. Again, most of that time was lost in the very early moments of the race when the battle for second. They just got a little bit too absorbed in that and let DJ scamper away. You just cannot afford to do that, and they've learned that again tonight.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact for DJ, the race time was really close. It was 30 minutes and 8/10 of a second.
Oh my
at
gosh.
the line. Just enough for the 30-minute clock. But yeah, Pilata, King, Cantor, Chris, you saw them in a fantastic battle for second place. Pilata was lucky enough. He's able to scamper away off to second. King securing third away from Luke Cantor. Then Hansen, Sawicki, Leader, Lausen, and Brunner top 10.
Yeah, and if DJ wanted to go that extra lap, he could have. And the only reliable way I've been able to tell when the white flag is out is by looking at the actual white flag with how close the timing is sometimes. Adam Kovac, Francois Brou, they didn't have the races that they would have liked. Neither did Alessi or Brunei. Caught up in a spin with Ryan Carwile. Albert No out 14 laps ago. Darian Taggart out on the opening lap. DJ Alessandrini wins another one, and DJ, your virtual trophy shelf is getting quite full of DC Region SCCA virtual action this winter, and you'll add another one to the list. Everyone behind you just got kind of battling amongst themselves, and away you went.
Yeah, I was a little bummed when they started fighting for P2 when they were still right there. Yeah, so then I just did laps for 30 minutes, guys.
Yeah, so, I mean, we saw that kind of coming, and as far as the racing tonight, I thought that we'd see a bit more draft, and it seemed like, you only got to play in it for a couple of laps before you drove away, but I was surprised that we didn't see, bigger lunges and bigger momentum on the back straightaway. How challenging was it to carry speed up that backstretch? I know you were really in front the whole time.
Yeah, I think the guys behind me were really struggling with the aero push because all the corners on this track are really high speed. So I was trying to build as much of a gap as I could before the back straight, and I only really had to defend a couple times. And even then, like, the outside is just so hard to hold. This track's really great to lap, guys, but honestly, it's kind of a snooze to race on, at least if you understand how to defend. But I say that, but it looks like the fight for P2 and P7 were killer races behind me. And tonight I was just a little jealous that I couldn't participate in them.
Yeah, there were some pretty interesting fights back there. But I think you're right about the way this track races. I think it tends to race better the worse the cars drive. And with very darty, pointy Formula cars, it's a little tricky to find any advantage. But thanks for chatting with us. Congratulations. We had to Spa and Coda the next couple weeks, though, so that changes the calculus quite a bit.
Yeah, Spa's going to be a little bit like a Daytona Miata race, so I don't know how that one's going to play out.
Yeah, that will be interesting. DJ, congratulations on another win. Round 7's yours, and we'll see you in Belgium next week.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Man, DJ Alessandrini might be our only interview tonight, finishing one last look at the session results here before we step away and head off to virtual Belgium next week. But I think he's right onto something about the way this track races. It can be racy, but if you know how to defend to put your car in the right spot, it's just very difficult to find an overtake and an advantage.
Yeah, it really is, and again, for some drivers, it's gonna be a little bit more frustrating because he drives off into the sunset and no one can really come back at him. Of course, we saw that battle get separated early on in the race, but still fantastic battle from second all the way through 5th place. Those guys were at it all race long.
Well, that'll do it for us tonight for the Washington, D.C. Region SCCA Virtual Racing League. Fun times here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, but off the way to Spa-Francorchamps next week at a track in Belgium 7 kilometers long before we head back to the 3.5-mile circuit here in Austin, Texas. We'll see you at Circuit of the Americas in 2 weeks' time. Kyle Heyer and Finian DeCuna alongside you, and we'll see you next week.